Hello everyone, I'm McLeod and today I am playing the newest version of Utopia and Friends. So you might be reading the title of this video, which is probably going to be something like, this is the new Dragonic contact or something, and be like, McLeod, how can you compare based Utopia to Cringe Hero? And hear me out on this one, I don't necessarily mean this as an insult. I just think personally that this deck is the new low floor, easily accessible, high powered deck that you can find on ladder super easily. Maybe not as easily as Hero, because I haven't encountered that many Utopia players yet. But it is a deck that is easy to pick up, easy to understand, not too difficult to play, as a ceiling that, unless I'm mistaken, is rather low, but is still pretty potent, pretty impressive, and maybe even the second best deck of this format. So, how does it work exactly? Well, we get to make use of our new skill Zexal 2 Power to the Future, which allows us to reveal one Zexal Sage monster or an Astraltopia in our hands in order to search up to 2 Zexal Sage monsters and or Utopia from our deck to hand. Basically what this means is any of these cards is a starter, including the Rota, which can start any of these, which means we have 2 plus 3, 5, plus 3, 8, plus 1, 9 starters in our deck total, which means we're basically never breaking. And this is a +2, so that's actually, well, it's not exactly a +2 because you do have to shuffle a card back from your hand into the deck, but this effect can be advantageous because we do have a couple of bricks, namely the Pegasus Twin Saber and the Double or Nothing. So, 9 starters in the deck, and we can shuffle a brick back, but that's not all. As a secondary effect, we also get to shuffle a card from our hand or field into the deck to get a Utopia for free. We're not even in Utopia in the extra. Utopia, there he is, for free. And a rank up Magic Numeron Force, taking the place of one other card in our hand. It completely replaces the card, which is pretty unique as far as Duel Links is concerned. I do remember the first Blue Eyes skill, Blue Eyes Alternative, replacing a Blue Eyes White Dragon on field with the alternative White Dragon. But I'm not sure if there's any other skill that just replaces itself with, replaces a card with a completely different card. There might be one, but I don't know of it. So our game plan is basically just to make a bunch of Xyz monsters that will all eventually turn into Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray, which is a big guy which can detach in order to equip a Zexal weapon directly from deck. And which is a monster negate. It's just a monster negate, so as long as it is equipped with a Zexal weapon. These Zexal's weapon that we use include, but are not limited, well, they are pretty much limited, but you can play some other options. We have the Pegasus Twin Saber, which can only equip itself from the field to our monsters, which is why it is considered a brick. We're only going to equip this one with the effect of the ultimate Leo Utopia Ray. This guy. I hate this thing's name. It doesn't make sense. I hate it. Anyway, it is a monster negate, but in a way that doesn't work like traditional monster negate. Just applies at resolution of an effect. It is not an activated effect, which is kind of weird. You'll get to see what I mean in a second. We also have the classic Tornado Bringer, which prevents the equipped monster from being targeted. This one can equip itself from your hand to a Utopia monster. We have the Eagle Claw, which represents a trap negate, which is pretty good. And we have a Zero Strike, which is a level 4 that can become pretty relevant. We also have other ways of searching for our Zexal weapons, namely the Ascended Sage and the Armed Sage, when they're used as Xyz materials, will allow us to search respectively a rank up magic normal spell, which is always going to be the limited Barion's Force, which you can shuffle into your deck if you've opened it, so you can plus a little bit further. And the Arm Sage will search us any Zexal weapon monster, which includes the Zero Strike, which we can then normal summon as a level 4 monster to extend our plays further, which is pretty cool. This is made much easier by the fact that this special summons itself if you control no card, and this special summons itself if you control only one other level 4 monster. which, well, these are pretty powerful. And then the Utopia specials itself if you control an Xyz monster, and will allow us to cycle a card from a hand in order to search, well, very exactly Numbers Protection, which is an Omni Negate that can recycle itself. It is a really strong card. And then, you know, the rest of the deck is just taking care of problematic boss monsters or problematic back row. We do have to run the Double or Nothing very specifically for the Utopia Double, which ranks itself up into a guy, but you do have to search the Double or Nothing in order to activate its effect. If it's in your hand, you will not be able to rank it up. It is a quick effect, which is kind of neat, can be sort of used to dodge Effect Veiler and stuff, but you need to get rid of this if it's in your hand. And the rest of our extra deck includes Zexal Weapon Leo Harms, with just a big number, and can attack twice, it's big. We do have the number 98 Anti-Utopian, which is a good way to beat Lyrillus very specifically, because it switches attacking monsters to defense position, which, that's kind of neat. We have Abyss Dweller, one of the Xyz MVPs of all time. Let's enjoy this guy so as long as it remains legal. We have Kane Gorgon, which is sort of targeting protection. Not the greatest card, and be too convinced by it in testing. And Photon Papilloperative, which punishes defending boards by switching a monster's to face-up attack position and reducing its attack, which facilitates lethal in a deck that can get to huge numbers super easily, thanks in no small part to Utopia Double and the equip effects of the guys. So that's the deck. Like I said, it's not too complicated, there's just so much to cover, but the deck itself is pretty linear, as you are going to see in the following replays. This first replay will be against Dark Magician, because we will be slowly but surely working our way up into better decks, and what better floor to start with than Dark Magician, one of the decks of all time that people will be playing, even though it is objectively poo-poo. As you can see, we've opened one of our brick, the Pegasus Twin Saber, but our opponent has opened one of their best cards with the Dark Magical Circle, getting the Dark Magician, activating the skill to return, to reveal the Dark Magician, return a card, get the Buster Blader, which is kind of neat. They're gonna normal summon Dark Magician without tributing and attack directly for game. Just kidding, this isn't Duel Links in 2017, this is Duel Links in 2025. Dark Magician, I don't care about this animation. Activate the skill, Bane of Darkness, get a poly and get a diffusion, a wave motion, which is not considered as a fusion card. Very important, you can search it with Predaplants, Opera Scorpio, summoning Darlington and Cobra. Foreshadowing for later, Ebon Illusion Magician is the monster they're going to summon. They're going to detach, and they're going to summon a second Dark Magician, the OG classic, really cool Chronicle effect. I have to say, I don't know what it's called, Aurora, I think. It looks great. It looks great on pretty much every card, but especially on Dark Magician. I'm going to activate Polymerization, Fusing, and this is extremely funny. They're summoning the Dark Magicians with a Dark Magician in hand, not the one that they just, you know, summoned, and a Protector with Eyes of Blue. What? What other targets do you have for this guy in your deck? How does that work? I usually see, you know, like Dark Magician and Apprentice Illusion or DMG, but I don't know what they were cooking. Anyway, I'm gonna set a card out as turn 1 end boards. Realistically, this does nothing, right? They only have the Dark Magical Circle, which is only live if this is, in fact, the Eternal Soul, where it might not be. So, first and foremost, click yellow button. This is Duel Links in 2025. We just instantly turn into Zexal 2. That's just, I don't know, I haven't finished watching Zexal. I don't know if this is like canon and stuff. If at some point Yuma is just going to start every duel going, fuck it. Well, we just turned into the Invincible guy. That's just the Invincible guy. We get the Ascended Sage. We summon the Armed Sage. At this point, we activate the part of our skill that allows us to get an Utopia for free by turning this thing, I forgot what it was already, into a Numeran Force and then getting Utopia. It is very important that you do it now, because we do not care if I'll start the other way around, okay? So rank up magic numerant force allows you to rank up, duh, but then it negates any other face-up card on the field. Like it's just negated. It is just negated, which is good to negate stuff of our opponent's board, right? We just negated everything that our opponent controls, which is great, but it also affects our board. So it is very important that you do this before you use these two as material. We don't care if their on-field effects are negated, but we do care about negating, say, Utopia double or another guy. And this is why we're doing that. I just want to turn this off, because if this is Eternal Soul, all they can do is special a Dark Magician. It does nothing. They're going to try and activate the effect of the Dark Magicians here, because we did activate a spell or trap, but it is negated. So they're just going to concede because they see the writing on the wall that I can just beat them. But we didn't even get to see the rest of the combo. Hopefully we get to see it in more games. So we played against a tier 25 deck. How about a tier 5 deck, Star Seraph? So it's still a deck that can go reliably. You know, it's still a valuable deck that you can bring to tournaments and go like 2-2 with, you know. It's still a decent deck, right? Our opponent's going first. We've opened no bricks this time around. We did open the thing that we can search. It's not a brick. We can shuffle it back for our skill, but it's not too bad. So, they're just gonna use their skill to set a bunch of cards. They're playing the Star Seraph Swords, which is a terrible card, and they're playing a scale for sure, and Mysterious Unknown. I'm thinking, you know, I haven't seen a Scepter yet. Maybe they're on Needle Ceiling. Maybe that's a thing that they're doing. We don't know. So, we're gonna draw Lava Golem, which is pretty cool. One thing to know about Lava Golem is it does prevent you from normal summoning the turn that you special it. So, don't drop it just yet. Maybe wait and see what your opponent's gonna do. Maybe there are some board scenarios in which you need to drop this. I don't think this is one of those. You know, it's just 3 set monsters. I don't care about that. We're going to return the rank up Magic Limited Variance Force in order to turn into Zexal 2. I don't need to see this once again. Look, we got all the cards. We already have like several copies of this card. It's fine, you can just shuffle them back, turn them into Numerant Force, which is really cool. Once again, Ascendant Sage and Armed Sage are eating the field. Once again, we're going for the very early Utopia into rank up Magic Numerant Force. I love doing this. Yeah, it's just another body on board, and more importantly, it's a guy that we don't need to watch the animation once again. It's a guy that we can equip with the Eagle Claw, which is going to neuter one of the traps that our opponent may have for us. This time around, we're going to put our 2 things into an Utopia double, which will activate 2 separate effects. The attached effects that allow us to search respectively a rank up magic normal spell and a Zexal weapon, and in a separate chain. It is very important that you do it in a separate chain lest you get cooked by Lost Wind or Effect Veil and stuff. In a separate chain, what you want to do is activate the Utopia double effect in order to get double or nothing into a second guy. Wow, it is 5,000 attack. Now we can summon the Utopia that we've set with our skill. We can normal summon the Azura Strike that we would not have been able to normal summon at we Lava Golem. Pitch the double nothing, get the numbers protection. And for our third Xyz monster, we're going to go for none other than Photon Predaplants, which will turn one of our opponent's face down monster, the Star Seraph scale, and we can rank it up because we did share the rank up spell as part of our combo. We can rank it up into a third guy. Isn't this absurd? This deck is crazy. This deck is silly as heck. This probably should not be allowed, but it is, so I'm gonna play it. And yeah, maybe the Star Seraph game plan of setting a bunch of cards face down and praying that there's enough isn't actually enough. Who would have thought? This time we are playing against Hero, probably still one of the most popular deck on ladder despite everything. And this time we're going to go first. which is great. I like going first. This deck is pretty good going second, but I do like going first a lot as well. So I'm just gonna get to do my combo of open a brick. That's completely fine. This end, not the greatest, you know, but at least we can shuffle back the double nothing into the deck, reveal the Arm Sage, do the thing once again. You know, it's the third time you're seeing this. Oh, look, the music's changed again. Oh no, cool. Ascended Sage, Arm Sage, you know, it's kind of the same combo every game. I'm also doing the Utopia stuff to get Utopia right on my field early on. Because you can't stop me, you know? I don't think there's even limited the number of times you can do it. But it's once per turn, twice per duel you can do this. It's kind of silly. Look, this time we're going for the Utopia double once again. We got the Pegasus Twin Saber equipped to the first guy. And we're gonna search Sora Strike and rank up Magic Limited Variance Force. Utopia double gets us double or nothing, and then will rank up itself into another guy. I summon a monster indeed. It is very funny that they never bothered to record a line for this guy very specifically. They should have, but it didn't. We're gonna equip the Tornado Bringer, which is going to be targeted protection for our other Utopia guy. I'm thinking one of these is going to like go to Super Poly anyway, so you know I better even the odds. And for my last XCs, we're gonna go for an Abyss Dweller because I don't want my opponent to be able to plus off of the Cross Keepers and Liquid Soldiers that I expect they'll be getting throughout the course of their combo. They activate Equal, get a Stratos. All fine with me. We don't waste an Omni on that. And they're gonna get the Neos on their field, which tells me that their hand is poo bad. They're gonna get Poly and a Poly from Thinner, which is also fine with me. They're gonna flip the Neos. Oh no! The music's gonna change again. Oh no, what a shame. No more Stratos. They're gonna activate the Stratos. Very funny, okay? I could have activated the effects of either Ultimate Slayer Utopia Ray to negate that. But these effects are like continue the change. They can be responded to, right? What I did instead was use the effect, not activate, use the effect of Pegasus Twin Sabers, which says at point of resolution doesn't work. That's a wild kind of negate that exists because someone at Konami was too incompetent to design a negate that actually works within the boundaries of this game, right? This should not work the way that it does, but it does. And we just have to deal with it. Anyway, Stratos is negated. They could not respond to that. They're gonna try and poly at this stage. I'm like, you know what? If they're going to try and poly, I'm just not gonna let it happen. Omni that, and then they're gonna super poly. I'm like, oh no! What? Wait, they just super polyed their on board to go for a sunrise. I had monsters on my field. They decided to. Okay. Sunrise is gonna get negated. The ultimate guy is negated. Abyss Dweller just in case before we rank it up into a third guy, which is incredibly funny to me. Look, the music changed again, pa. We can negate a trap effect, doesn't matter. It's just lethal on boards. I guess the one difference with between Utopia and Dragonic Contact is, you know, Utopia players are fewer and farther between and presumably do not super poly their own boards like this guy did, which Dragonic Contact players. And last but not least for today, that's right, is going to be Predaplants. So a deck that has taken a lot of hits on the ban list and is still playable. Maybe a skill that gives them a +1 for basically free. It's actually a +2. But can you count poly as a plus? I don't know. Maybe this sort of skill is a bit too powerful. So they're just gonna do classic Predaplant combo stuff, you know, which every Predaplant players know by now. You got prayer practice, 9-turn your Cobra, get the Scorpio. I find comfort knowing that they open the Cobra, you know. I still get the Scorpio. Now I'm in a gate. I'm gonna go for Blind Bliss. fuse the Blibliss and the Scorpio into Colon Ambulomelides, but not for me. I got Ambulomelides and Blibliss to get a couple of searches. First of which is Saracenians, which, yeah, you have to be careful about that. Second of which is the Predaplants, which they're going to use in order to revive, no, to special the Saracenian from hand, which they're going to tribute to any Darlington Cobra, triggering both the search effect of the Cobra and the Saracenian in order to get a Predaplast and a Fusion Recovery. They're going to activate Fusion Recovery, get Poly, get Scorpio, in order to then fuse some more using the Darlington Cobra on field and the Ambulomelides into a Dragostopia, which notably leaves them with only one monster on the board, which means I can't Lava Golem, which is not great. So, one negate that also happens to place a Predaplants counter, which turns monsters definitely into level 1, which is an issue. And one of these two is the Predaplast, which kind of does the same thing, isn't it? So, fortunately, we did open Cosmic Cyclone, so we're going to snipe one of these two back row. Unfortunately, I went for the Predaplants because I'm not a good sniper. We are going to search the Ascended Sage and then get rid of our double or nothing. Turn into Zexal 2. Let's go! Music exchange. Wow, fantastic. Ascended Sage. They're going to turn this into a thing which notably prevents me from summoning the Arm Sage, which is going to Utopia. Numeron Force into a big Utopia Ultimate Leo Guy thing. Look at this. Wow, no, you're not going to watch this. We've already seen this one. This time we're going to go for the Leo Harms because I want a big thing. Gonna summon the Astrotopia, going to normal the Astral Sage, at which point our opponent is going to Predaplast, revealing 3 Predaplant cards in hand, one of which we knew about, which was the Scorpio, but 0 Saracenians, which is comforting. We're gonna send the Arm Sage in order to get a numbers protection, and just attack, which they're going to be able to protect with the Predaplast, but we are still in a favorable position. This is permanently negated, so is this. And we do have 1 negate. It could have been 2, but I got greedy. And a Nomni. So, Predaplants, they're just going to let that go. They're going to summon the Eliam Forencus because we do control him ourselves with a Predaplant counter. On the field, we're going to go for the Nightmare Penis, which is going to pitch a Calamity Sundew that they top decked, but we're going to negate that to protect our numbers protection. Then they're going to activate the Blibliss and put these two together into a Nightmare Unicorn, pitching the Orphris Scorpio, which is going to be met with the numbers protection to negate and destroy it. Their last card in hand, Predator Pruning, will revive the Orphris Scorpio, but it does nothing. So they just lose the game. That's the thing with Predaplant players that I've seen on ladder. They all know like the turn 1 combo that makes Dragostopia plus Ensemble Robin with like the best hands. They don't know how to play the follow-up. They don't know how to play follow-up turns. At some point you have to win. They don't know how to do that. So that's the deck. Incredibly powerful, incredibly linear. But it gets the job done. If you're looking for a deck that's not too difficult to build, you can get away with playing only 1 Ascended Sage. And you probably need to dig for the structure deck for these cards. How do you get this card? Is it in the new structure? It is. That's fantastic. It is in the new structure, which is cool. Yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, you can probably just get away playing a budget version of this, you know. Cosmic Cyclone's backship card. This is free to play. This is a new structure. I don't know how you get this. It is in the old structure deck. This is a rare. It's not too difficult to obtain. It's in the new structure deck. This is in the new structure deck. I know that for sure because I have 7 copies of this card. And this thing, I think, is also a free-to-play card. No, it is part of the old structure. It's not that difficult to build. Maybe a bit costly. This is a free-to-play card. And these, I think, can be obtained for free. And it gets the job done. It's probably the best deck you can be playing if you want to climb ladder quickly without too much trouble and without having to learn a complicated deck like, say, Shadow and stuff. So, yeah, this is the new Dragonic Contact. It is less brain dead in appearance than Dragonic Contact, but do keep in mind that you have a yellow button that says negate every face-up card on the field, which is still pretty potent, so I wouldn't be surprised if people turn on this deck super quickly and this becomes the new most hated deck of all time, forever, until something even more broken and easier to access and play takes its place. But that will be it for today's video. What do you think of this deck? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Are you torn? Not really having an opinion? That's completely fine as well. I do hope that you enjoyed the video nonetheless. Thank you for watching. And if you did enjoy the video, make sure to like, comment and subscribe if you have not already. If you would like to support me further, you can check out my Ko-fi in the video description, where you can make a one-time donation or a monthly pledge. And I would like to thank my Ko-fi donators in the forms of Dingust, HowdishBoy0, Jimmy, Zinnia, Yannick, Sile, Mark Lu, Fortuno16, the Abyss Actor Guru, Orc Price and Exorcist. Thank you all for the support. I still have a couple more decks to play from the newest main box. I still haven't played Duel, which is insane, and I guess I'll give Shadow a try. I might not be smart enough for Shadow, but I can make win that pass, and apparently this isn't broken. It's completely fair and balanced that you get to play a card that says, don't play the game whatsoever. Fun. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching once again. Take care everyone. I will see ye all next time.